Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing today? South Africa is known as a racist country. It's known for its racism. It's where apartheid was born and where apartheid died. But as racism died, if you come to South Africa or if you are South African, then you will know that there isn't more racist people than South Africans. We all think in terms of race. It's the first thing we see people's skin color. And we mentally categorize people, even those of us who travel overseas. We look at overseas people and we say, oh, that's a white person, and that's a, a colored person, and that's a black person. But only South Africans think like that. And by the way, this story about brown people being created by white people and black people, in many cases here in South Africa, it's true, but I'm brown. But I wasn't created between a white person and a black person. My ancestors come from Malaysia. So if you want me to believe the oversimplified notion, I won't even say idea, notion that all the Malays or all the Mexicans on the other end of the world, or all the, say, the Aztecs and the Incas were created by interaction between white people and black people way back then you need to read and stop being stupid. But anyway, South Africans are very racist. And you know, South Africans don't get to travel. The ones who do travel, they don't come back, they stay overseas. So the rest are still walking around here in the sinking ship. They don't read and they are racist. Yes, you find small clusters of youngsters walking around. They go to school together, but the majority are racist, even at schools where races are mixed. There are race incidents on a regular basis, most of them unreported. We don't hear about it, but it happens. I'm a teacher, so I know. The communities, they still stick to their races. They still live in areas divided by race. Old Group Areas Act areas that were set aside for people of different races. Whites were in their areas, coloreds, blacks, Indians. Totally separate areas. And it's still like that. Yes, it's changed a lot, and there are people of different races moving into different areas, um, and together with a lot of foreigners that come here from other countries. There are a tremendous amount of foreigners throughout South Africa and a lot in Cape Town as well. But they are also seen as different race. They in the South African mentality, are the foreign race. They are referred to as the foreigners. But, but when you say foreigner, you consider a separate race group, the foreigners. And if you want to be specific, then if you know, you'll say the Congolese or Zimbabwean or Nigerian or Somalian or wherever they Moroccan, Egyptian, wherever they're from. You refer to that race, if it is a race, nationality. But that's how we South Africans are. And it's a complete mixed bag of people here in South Africa. Very, very mixed. And in that sense, the colored group, race group, is evidence of just how mixed that is. That's why they refer to it as mixed race. But in any case, South Africans still think like that. Everybody still thinks in terms of, they might go around saying guys, but the guys is not a race thing. It's more a sex thing. It's more like there is no male and there's no female. That's the whole point of guys. Everybody. But most people use it in terms of the sexes are equal. So we're not going to treat the sexes differently. Of course, only up till a point when it, you know what the way, we know what women are like. When it suits them, then they want to be treated differently. But when they choose, then they must be treated the same. I can understand equal opportunity, but in general, I mean, at school level already, going to the same toilet and those kind of things, and everybody doing the same thing, it's not possible. It's just not possible. And it just isn't like that. So it's never going to happen. To a certain extent, yes. It makes a lot more sense to be specific about what things should not be um, discriminated on between the sexes, but to just dive in. Why do you think there's gender based violence? It's on the increase, it's getting out of control. I mean, women are getting murdered by their spouses, by their boyfriends. Why? Does that make sense? Is that progress? Is it progress when members of society murder one another because of change? Then obviously such a change shouldn't be made, it shouldn't be allowed. It's not like it's going to die out once enough people have murdered one another. Who decides that these sacrificial lambs are allowed? Or do people not care? Or is nobody in charge? Then we can rather have racism where people are kept in their different race groups. I mean, don't you want to be with somebody of your own race? Why do you want to be with somebody of a different race? It doesn't make sense. And if there are problems and murders, then leave it be. There are so many changes. I mean, in South Africa, everything is changing. And all these changes are not good. Society can't cope with too many changes. It can't be handled, and no one's managing it. It's just happening, and it's creating disasters. South Africa is like a sinking ship, and in this case, there's no real captain of the ship. The ship is not being steered. The engine is busted. The rudder's fallen off, and there's nothing is really working properly. And holes are developing because the ship is rusting due to no maintenance. And so the ship is sinking slowly, slowly. The ship is sinking. Everybody knows. No one is saying anything about it. A lot of people are abandoning ship, and that's what South Africa is like. And when the cat's away, the mouse, they all enjoying themselves. They playing and having a good time. That's what's happening in South Africa. And so you have this gender do what they want to. You have this young people do what they want to. Everybody's doing what they want to, all under the banner of freedom of choice. You have freedom of choice, or you just have freedom, so you can do what you want to. And that's why criminal activity is skyrocketing. But of course, that is a sacrifice that they make. They accept that that's going to happen as long as they have their freedom. How selfish is that? That's selfish, self centered. Only a hedonist, somebody who wants to satisfy his own whims and fancies and his own instincts, will do that. I mean, you don't care about anybody else. Absolutely no care for anyone. To you, that is as if that is a separate society, so you just ignore them. And that is why they say, switch off your TV or go somewhere else. You can't do that all the time. I mean, as a Muslim, if you know or you come to see something wrong, then you must change it. And if you can't change it, then you must say something about it. And if you can't say something about it, then in your heart you must at least feel that it's wrong. And that is the weakest form of Iman. And that's where so many of us are. Even our Muslim leadership are there. They're not doing anything, they're not saying anything. So hopefully they feel in their heart and they know in their heart it's wrong. They're just not saying anything. We will continue, South Africa will continue to be a racist society. It will continue. It will always be a racist society because it's made up of many, many races. Blacks are in the majority, but even they are made up of a whole lot of different tribes speaking a whole lot of different languages. So there is no such thing as South African. You can be South African because you have a passport which says you are South African, yes. And you're only really a South African when you travel. And someone asks you, where are you from? South Africa. Oh, you're South African? Yes. But in South Africa, you don't do anything that is South African. You don't speak a language that is South African. You don't have a culture that is South African. The only thing about you that is South African is you are racist. Look at how Islam handles racism. Yes, there are racists in the Muslim world with over 1 billion people. You can't expect there not to be a racist. But look at how Islam handles racism. Look into it. If you are not Muslim, and if you don't know anything about Islam, just have a look and see. Start with the Hajj, start with Mecca, see what happens there. The racism is not even an issue. And as a South African, you will find it difficult to understand how that works. How something like racism can be a non issue, but it is there in Islam. Assalamu alaikum.